Hello and welcome to Matt's Casual Cooking. Today we are going to be making apple cinnamon bread, a fall treat for any time of the day. So we're going to go ahead and go over all the ingredients and let's get to it.
All right, so we're going to go over the ingredients just like we did with the pumpkin bread. I'm going to break it out into a couple bowls and what you need to set aside. So for the first bowl, you need a third of a cup of brown sugar, not packed. You need a teaspoon of ground cinnamon and then just kind of mix that together. Now I'm using light brown sugar today. You can use dark, it's just more your preference. In the second bowl, you're going to want 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour and 1 1/3 teaspoon baking powder. Just kind of mix that together and set that aside for the time being. And for your third bowl, you need 2/3 cups of white sugar and 1/2 cup of butter softened. And we're actually going to mix that together first. Now for your other items, you're going to need 2 eggs, 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract, a 1/2 cup of milk. You're going to want 1 apple. You're going to want to peel and chop that. Now you're chopping. I chopped it kind of into smaller bits. You can certainly cut them into larger chunks if you want. It's up to you on this, really how you want to do it. Now for the hardware, you're going to need one 9 by 5 inch loaf pan, and we're going to grease that, and we are going to actually put some flour in here, and that's going to help actually pull the bread out once it's done cooking. I'll go over how to do that here in just a second. So, all right, well, let's get to making. All right, now for the bread loaf, we're going to need to grease it. Now you can grease it with butter. I'm going to be a little lazy, and I'm going to just use the non-cooking spray today, non-stick cooking spray. Make sure you get a good, don't need to overdo it. Get a nice layer. Now for the flour dusting, take your flour, and I have a little, either an actual sifter or I have just a little sifter here. So just take a decent amount of flour and just kind of shake this. Actually just kind of pat it. So it'll actually work a lot better. And what you're looking for, just a nice layer. You don't want to cake it in there. Alright, so we got a nice layering. Probably got a little excess in the bottom, but that's okay. You just don't want like a huge pile of it. So we're going to set this aside, and we're going to actually get to the mixing portion here. So we have our butter and sugar together, and the butter is pretty softened. So what we're going to do now initially is you're just going to beat this together until it's creamy, and you want to get your eggs out, because as soon as we do, we're going to add an egg in one at a time until they're combined. So go ahead and start. And again, if you have a stand mixer, go ahead, and I would use that, but again, I'm using this to kind of show you a little bit better everything. Alright, so this initially is combined, so just add one egg in at a time. Alright, so now the eggs are incorporated, and what we're going to add now is we're going to add the vanilla extract, and we're also going to add in the flour baking soda combo. And for the flour, again, we're going to want to add it together in batches, because that's going to incorporate it better for our dough. might just add, probably only need to do this in halves. This is kind of a small flour, so I'm just going to add about half for the time being. Set that aside. Just start it off on low, kind of incorporate it. You can always go a little bit higher if you want. Alright, so now, I mean, this doesn't look really, I know, a lot like bread dough. It looks more like cookie dough right now is what it's looking like, but we still need to add the half cup of water, and we're going to go ahead and put that in and just beat it until it's smooth. Alright, so as you can see, this is pretty smooth. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and we're going to put this into the pan, and I'll show you how we're incorporating the cinnamon and the apples at this point. Alright, so take your mixture, and we're going to only add in about half. You just need to add in half. Make sure you cover the bottom. Okay, so we've got it all across the bottom. So what we want to do now is go ahead and get like another spatula or a wooden spoon. I'm going to go ahead and get a wooden spoon for this and drop it. So what we want to do now is I'm going to take some of the cinnamon first, and just again about half of your cinnamon and sugar, and we want to just take about half the apples. I probably got a little more than half of it. And you just want to take whatever you're using, just kind of push them into the dough. Just kind of push them down into the dough. That's all we're doing. Now once you've done that, take the rest of your dough and just put it on top. Alright, so I had to push some of the dough into the corners again, and now we're just going to, I'm going to do this a little opposite this time. I'm going to take the apples and actually put them on top first, because I want the cinnamon to be more prevalent on the top. And again, just like before, just kind of take them and spread them out and kind of push them lightly into the dough. Don't want to just smack them down, just kind of push them down a little bit, so we don't necessarily need them covered. So that's done, and then now take your cinnamon, and you can even just take your hand and just kind of spread it out. Just kind of spread evenly around. If you got some chunks of sugar, just kind of take your finger and break them down. Especially the larger chunks, we don't necessarily need a big old bite of sugar in one bite. So, all right. So now our loaf is ready to be cooked, and you want to turn your oven to 350 degrees. And we're going to cook this for 30 to 40 minutes, depending on your oven. And we're going to do it just like the pumpkin bread. Once you think it's done, you're going to want to take a toothpick or like a butter knife and stick it in the middle and pull it out, and if there's nothing on it, then you know it's done. So go ahead and turn your oven on, and I'll see you in 30 to 40. Okay, so it was a little over 40 minutes when I cooked it, and I set it out on a cooling rack in the pan for 10 minutes, and then I took it out and let it sit for about another 15, and that was really to kind of help it firm up. As you can tell, it's a little different than the pumpkin bread, a bit more kind of bouncy, I would say, but no less, it's still going to taste just as good. So if you enjoyed making this recipe, go ahead and like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to get new recipes when they come up. So I want to thank you for watching today, and have a good fall. Take care.